What's up guys, I'm Random Frank P. Today we're going to be reviewing the iPhone X after my 1 week use of it. Picked this up on launch date, I've been using it as my daily driver ever since. And for the $1,000 price point for the base 64GB model, this is a pretty hot commodity, seeing it's a big chunk of money to spend if you're unsure about the phone. So I'll tell you guys all about my thoughts and experiences with it over the past week. Go over all in this review. If you haven't already checked out my review of the iPhone 8, which came out a few weeks ago, definitely do. I bring up some good points in there if you're in between picking up either one of these models. But either way, let's start off the review for the iPhone X after 1 week. So for the first time in a while, we have a new design and construction for an iPhone, and it's pretty much a major change for the first time since the iPhone 4 to the 5. With the stainless steel frame and all glass body, it is definitely the nicest iPhone to date. And with that means no bezels. It's 2017, so Apple's getting with the times. Kind of. Bezels are extremely minor around the edges, with the only real exception being that notch at the top of the display. And this is where your sensors are, the camera, the speaker, but honestly, it's not that bad. I know all the pictures you see, it's a real eyesore, and from the initial mock-ups, everyone was laughing at it, but it's really not a big deal, seeing that that area is only used for things like displaying the time, your cellular connection, and stuff like that. It's really not bad once you get it in your hands. And speaking of which, holding this thing just screams premium. It feels solid at 174 grams, which is identical to the Pixel 2 XL. With this all-glass body, I think the weight balance in your hands is spot on. Since it's pretty much the same size as the iPhone 8, the body itself isn't awkward or anything to hold, and I haven't noticed my hands cramping up or anything like that. It's definitely smaller than the iPhone 8 Plus, which is nice, but as I said in my iPhone 8 review, with this all-glass body comes risk and fingerprints. Without a case or a bumper, if you drop this, it's definitely going to shatter into a million pieces. For the majority of you out there, the real kicker is going to be that all-glass body is obviously going to be attracting fingerprints, smudges, oils, and everything else. Yes, while it's nice to just raw dog every once in a while without protection, do yourself a favor and slap a D-brand skin on it. They have different colors and textures, they got it all for you. And as you probably know, I'm a huge fan of the Black Dragon skins. Looks killer here, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the grip bumper as well. I'll put a link to these skins down below. Just save yourself the hassle from cleaning this thing 24/7 with all those fingerprints. So moving on to the screen, the 10 features a 1125 by 2436p resolution screen that is a tall 19.5:9 ratio, which is a bit different than your 16:9 ratio screen that you're probably used to. And this has a 459 pixel density. This is also the first year that's going to feature a Super AMOLED display as well, and let me tell you, this thing is nice. With that means vibrant colors from the wide color gamut, and it's HDR10 compliant, plus the display features True Tone display, which is cool for adjusting the light and the screen temperature depending on the lighting you're in, and we still have 3D touch integrated. This 5.8-inch screen is a beauty, and I have zero complaints. Before we move on, everything is lightning quick, from animations to switching apps and multitasking. That's all helped by the 3 gigs of RAM. It's certainly no Razer phone, but 3 gigs is fine. And the Apple A11 Bionic chipset handles everything I threw at it, putting up a Geekbench score of 4,241 single core and a 10,221 multi-core score. Okay, so now into the good stuff, and one of the more controversial things about this phone is there's no more Touch ID because there's no home button. It's not featured into the display like people were hoping, nor is it featured on the power button, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping for that. So the big thing now is Face ID. How is that? Well, for me it works around 75% of the time, I'd say, and that's definitely not as fast as Touch ID. To set it up, you have to scan your face twice looking in a 360-degree motion, but it's still kind of annoying to actually have to look at your phone if you want to unlock it. Like, you seriously have to make eye contact with it for it to unlock. Try, you can hold your phone up to your face, but it's not going to actually do the unlocking animation unless you actually look at it. It does work at nighttime due to their infrared sensors and in all different lighting conditions, but it just doesn't seem to want to work when I'm laying down. So you know in the morning when you just woke up and your face is all smushed against the pillow and you're all puffy from sleeping all night? It doesn't want to work like that. Like, you pick up your phone and look at it when you're lying down and it just doesn't unlock. That's kind of annoying. Yes, like I said, around 75% of the time from all different angles trying it out, but one of the most annoying things I think is when it does unlock, you still have to actually swipe up. So if Face ID works, you still have to add that whole extra step of actually swiping up. I wish it would just go to your home screen. That's pretty annoying. but keep in mind it is still pretty much brand new, and these are all things I expect to be tweaked over time and hopefully improve with software updates. Now also with this new screen, you have some different gestures to navigate your phone. Swiping up, like I said, gets you into your home screen. Swiping right is going to get you to your widgets, but swiping down now from the left side of the screen brings up your notifications, while swiping down on the right side brings up the control center. And it took me a day or so to get used to this again, but honestly, it's just a matter of muscle memory. The more you use this as your daily phone, the quicker you're gonna get used to it, and after maybe the first day or so, it didn't bother me at all. Now, if you don't want to actually change your habits from that home button, technically you could still add a virtual home button through the accessibility settings. It'll do the trick if you have arthritis or swiping up is a problem for you. Little tip there if you wanna maybe use that. But as we start winding down, let's talk about the camera real quick. And it's pretty much a slightly improved version if you're used to the 7 or the 8 Plus. You have a slightly wider aperture at f1.8 and f2.4 with those dual 12 megapixel sensors on the back, giving you optic stabilization for smoother shots. You get dual tone flash and 2-time optical zoom, stuff like that. Here are some quick examples. So as you saw, it is a very similar picture quality to what you see with the iPhone 8 Plus, with the majority of the changes coming with how the phone actually internally processes that image. It is still a very good look, whether it's on if you're taking photos or videos. I think the Pixel 2 XL still takes the cake as being the king of the best camera on your smartphone, even has a higher DxO mark, but it's still one of the best cameras out there. There's no denying that. But where one area this camera extremely suffers in is with portrait mode with the selfie cam. And that front-facing camera is 7 megapixels, and portrait mode just has a tough time. It really does. It's soft, the fake background blur is usually pretty off unless you're in like perfect lighting conditions, and there are things like the studio lighting and the contour lighting are just meh. And with stage light and stage light mono, again, unless your lighting conditions are flawless, your picture's gonna suffer. Now, using portrait mode with the back camera is definitely gonna give you better results, but again, this is another aspect of the phone that I expect to be improved because it is all software based. Then we'll talk about the battery real quick, and for a phone this size being almost all screen, it does a pretty decent job. My first few cycles were pretty poor, probably because I was like re-downloading all the apps and setting everything up, but on average I'm getting around 6.5 to 7 hours on screen time. And it's still a bump up from the 8 model, which is good, not as good as the 8 Plus, and we still have the integrated wireless Qi charging capabilities as well. I just use a wireless Qi charger from Rav Power. I'll put the link down below if you want to check it out. But it's one of the fastest wireless chargers out there. It goes from 0 to 100 in around 2.5 hours on average, compared to over 3.5 hours for a wireless charger for some other companies out there. So I'm definitely going to stick with this. But of course, things like your apps, your app usage, brightness, etc., it's all going to play a role in your battery life. This 2716 milliamp hours rated for 21 hours of talk time and 60 hours of music playback, but obviously it's all gonna vary. So now for the ending segment, we'll wrap this up with just my thoughts and experiences over the past week. And first thing we'll talk about is just the construction of the phone itself. I absolutely love it. It's the best looking iPhone yet. Love the all glass body, even though it's a fingerprint magnet. I'll slap a skin on it. You get the stainless steel frame mixed with that 5.8-inch display. It looks great. With that display comes the kind of pros and cons of Face ID. As I mentioned, it works around 75% of the time for me. The lighting hasn't been an issue. It's just, weird quirks along the way. And I hate having to use the whole swipe up motion, even though it's already unlocked. Kind of annoying, but that's gonna improve over time. Then we have the camera. The camera itself is definitely amazing. It looks great. One of the best cameras out there. There's no denying that. But like I mentioned, with the portrait mode, with the front-facing camera, definitely still hit or miss. That's another thing that hopefully over time is gonna improve. I mean, you saw the photos. But one of my biggest concerns with the iPhone 10 is iOS 11, so more software-based here. It's been pretty buggy over its release, and you're seeing it all over. It's kind of taking away from the whole experience from the phone right now, and That's kind of a bummer because you're paying a premium price for a premium phone that is different from the rest. Why not give us a fully optimized and possibly even a different iOS for the 10 than something that's already on, like you can get like on a 7 or the 8. I would love something, that would integrate maybe home screen widgets. We have a whole nother row of apps and stuff like now. Just give us something different that doesn't, get bugged out every now and then. So I think my biggest fallback here is gonna be iOS 11 on the 10. It should just be more optimized right now. Then wrapping it up, you have to factor in the price point. Like I said, the base model for 64 gigabytes is $1,000. That's a lot of money for anybody to just sink into a phone. Yes, you can pay it off all at once, you can pay it off each month, so it's not that tough of a pill to swallow, but even still, that's a lot of money. And like I mentioned earlier, I did my iPhone 8 review, so if you're contemplating which model to pick up, definitely check that out. I love the 8, it's a huge upgrade over my 6 I still keep on hand, but I think in the end, I think the 10 is worth the money. I know it's crazy, but it is a great phone for what it is, with the improvements hopefully gonna be software based. So if you have the funds, if you have an older phone, or you just want to upgrade and you don't mind the price point, then definitely go with the 10 because so far it's been great. I love the way it looks, it feels great. I'm happy with it. Just hoping on some better software upgrades. And we all know Apple's pretty good with that. So I'm optimistic. Maybe hold off a month or so, but I'd definitely pick it up. All right, guys, that'll wrap it up for my review of the iPhone 10. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. And don't forget, check the description as well if you want to pick up those D-brand skins. If you liked the review, give it a thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at randomfrankp. And lastly, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Well, I'm Random Frank P. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.